gigs from at the authors when I host book events, because they sell books, which is not something an academic actually expects to happen when they write something. And my friend John Hobo has a really kind of succinct, his idea for why academic work needs to be bloggier is that every good article deserves a comment box. It deserves some way that people can kind of interact with the argument, with the author, and not just, you know, I mean, put another kind of, you stick it between two New Yorkers and then American literature on that pile of things to read eventually.
Well, there are some good examples of people who publish either an extended and a sustained academic type writing on the web, on the internet, and that's happened before the web, and it's still happening. You know, for instance, the book on gamer theory that Ian Work did has a website where the entire text is there, but it's not, and it's chopped up somewhat, but it's not chopped up so that it becomes bloggy in that sort of short, here's a dash, here's a snarky comment, here's another snarky comment, how much snarkier can we get, kind of thing. But something that's actually appropriate to the format, whatever it might be.
Well, comment presses.
The interesting thing would be to also make it multimedia. You know, so you can have a book, but you can also have a website for the book. Lev Manovich has a
well,
website
I think it's
for
happening in your field, in new media studies, and it's happening in trade publications. Where it's not happening is in Shakespeare studies. It's not happening in your traditional academic historical discipline.
We're trying.
Well, you know, I think maybe it's starting to happen, but I'm frustrated by the slowness of print. And it's interesting working with a trade publisher and how the deadlines are real and they're fast, and you've got to, you know, come up with stuff when you sign a contract. And academic publishing, it's like, I missed the deadline on September 15th, and I had to tell the editor that I missed the deadline. It's like he wasn't keeping track. But if it's a trade publisher, they care about this stuff because they're really trying to get the stuff out there. And they have more of a, I don't know, an investment in it. So.
And I think lay readers often don't realize how long the timeline is in academic publishing. I mean, the fact that going through the review process and then the production process really, I mean, the years that it takes you to write the book, and then there's a lot of time after that as well.
And then nothing. No response at all to what you've written.
Well, not no response, so it's very slow.
I mean, you know, Amanda Klebo actually sent me an email. Her book has still not been reviewed in any real venue yet. And in fact, the person reviewing it for American literature actually contacted me and asked if he could kind of quote from some of the contributions to the book event in his review for American literature, which really kind of, I think, epitomizes everything that's wrong with academic kind of review culture. You know, you get a sentence in, you know, American literary scholarship. I mean, that's it. And you spent 6 years writing this thing.
And since we are reading The Language of New Media in this class, I'd second Peter's recommendation of Lev Manovich's website and the materials that are there. I think they're a very helpful supplement to the book. Because of a variety of flukes, we've managed to arrange for the other textbook authors to actually appear on campus this quarter. He's down at UC San Diego, and you can often see him there. It's
problematic in that, you know, and this is, I wanted to echo what you said earlier about, you know, potential job committees or evaluation looking at our blogs. What it means is often, and I faced this even when I was writing my dissertation, that you have two categories, right? And all of the new media stuff falls into the service category, right? It somehow supports what we do in teaching and publishing, but it doesn't actually make it to the top of your list where you say, my website is what I work on, you know, and it doesn't weigh as much as a book or an article. It's in a different category. And often I think that's right, and sometimes I think it's totally not right.
Yeah, for some people, they have such strong web presences that, and academic web presences that seems like an important component of their work. Barbara?
I just wanted to ask you a question that kind of reverses things a little bit in your roles as teachers, especially, Liz, as you're having your class write blogs. So knowing that, you know, most of you have gotten in trouble one way or another, someone's overreacted or even, you know, created some problems in terms of your own, or potential problems in terms of your own career. So how do you advise your students about writing blogs, for example, for your class or elsewhere, where if if they said something that you felt, for example, was either offensive or something you strongly disagree with, how do you kind of step back from what your students are writing, and how do you encourage them to be honest, and yet they're vulnerable?
Well, we actually had a conversation about this on the very first day. Heina, do you want to talk about what you sort of talked about on the first day?
This summer I started up a blog. Technically it was anonymous, but my story is kind of a unique one where my family's Muslim and I was, and I'm not anymore. And that's considered a very serious offense within the Islamic religion. And I was just blogging about my experiences with the Muslim Students Union on campus and the way they've treated me, the way the community has reacted, my reasons behind it, you know, and I kept it anonymous and I tried to remove any identifying factors, but I ended up being found out, and I had someone call me saying that at the Muslim Students Union meetings they brought me up and everyone kind of knew who it was, and I was accused of spreading negativity and spreading hatred. And because my situation's kind of unprecedented, I took down the blog out of fears for my personal safety. And it was a very humbling experience. I mean, in a way it was interesting because I got a huge readership, people from all over the world messaging me, and all good comments too. Very few people who even opposed me in any way, let alone threatened me. But at the same time, you know, it was a tiny little ripple, and it caused such huge shockwaves in my life, and it was a really scary thing, especially since I didn't put my name and there was no way to actually say it was me other than my writing style. So yeah, I learned a lot from that, and have realized that if I'm going to do anything like that again, I'm going to have to be willing to face maybe, you know, really negative repercussions.
This is like a permanent archive of teachable moments, is
Right.
the way that I kind of looked at it when I was running the course blog. You know, if a student stepped out of line and said something or that was inappropriate, or I could actually have a teachable moment there on the web that all of the students could refer back to. I could link to it, link to my response, and kind of demonstrate not only how to respond to, you know, what is and isn't an appropriate response, but also kind of demonstrate to the students how to respond to something that's offensive, as opposed to just with vitriol but to actually kind of calmly walk the person through what the reasons that their comments were inappropriate. And that kind of archive of teachable moments it's actually really useful. In fact, I use a lot of them in future classes when I taught the same class.
That's interesting. I have to go and teach, but I'd just like to remind both the undergraduates and the other people in the room that, you know, email and blogging and all these things are, you know, it's just pretty permanent. And even in what you think of as a private email can so easily be distributed, or it can be requisitioned by a government agency if there's some issue that it touches in any way upon you. And so I've just become very concerned about what I write in email, even when I think it's private, and certainly what I write in blogging because it's so searchable on the internet. So I think that there's when you're young, it's very easy to kind of spew things out, but you can't take it back. Even if you take the blog down, it's sort of still there. And so I just would urge caution and self-control. And I think the idea of the draft folder is great. I started to do that too.
Yeah, it means that you don't have any of those, you know, I'm angry right now, I'm going to write this right
Yeah,
now.
Don't blog while angry.
Yeah,
It's like
ignore it.
driving while drunk. It's